In a gritty auto shop on the edge of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a 25-year-old Latino mechanic is deep in his work when a Hell's Angel, clad in leather and covered in ink, storms in, pleading for a quick fix to reach his injured son in the hospital. While the shop's crew dismisses the biker, the young mechanic steps up, only to be fired by his boss for breaking protocol. Unbeknownst to him, the biker is the CEO's estranged brother, and what unfolds next will leave everyone stunned. Before we dive into this tale, let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your thoughts. The morning sun scorched the cracked asphalt of Route 66, where dust swirled outside Chavez Auto Repair, a cinder-block garage tucked between a taqueria and a pawn shop. Inside, under buzzing fluorescent lights, the air was thick with the scent of motor oil, burnt brake pads, and the faint tang of menudo simmering in the break room. Mechanics in faded coveralls traded jokes in Spanglish, their laughter echoing off tool racks and rusted car lifts. Tejano music crackled from a battered radio, competing with the whine of a torque wrench. Amid the chaos, 25-year-old Javier Morales stood out not just for his youth, but for his relentless focus. Javier, with warm brown skin and a neatly trimmed goatee, wore a navy jumpsuit streaked with grease, his name stitched in red cursive over his heart. His dark eyes stayed locked on the undercarriage of a 19 Chevy Silverado, his hands moving with the precision of a surgeon. While others scrolled TikTok or sipped horchata from styrofoam cups, Javier worked like he was racing a clock no one else could see. "Hey, Javi, grab my socket set, pronto." Rookie hollered Diego, a grizzled mechanic with a cowboy hat tilted back. Another tech, smirking, added, "Bet he's quick 'cause his familia's used to hustling. You know." The shop erupted in chuckles. Javier's jaw tightened, but he slid out from under the truck, fetched the tool, and returned to his bay without a word. The jabs weren't new about his heritage, his age, or the way he spoke English with a faint East Side accent. He'd heard worse growing up in Barelas, where every corner store had bars on the windows and low-riders cruised slow past murals of La Virgen. The shop's manager, Carl Toro Thompson, a burly ex-Marine with a buzz cut, only spoke up when Javier missed a deadline, barking kid loud enough for customers to hear. Javier swallowed it all. His dad was gone. His mom cleaned houses 6 days a week, and his little sister dreamed of college. Bills stacked higher than Sandia Peak. Javier had plans, big ones. He wanted to open a shop specializing in custom lowriders, a place where kids like him could learn a trade, but dreams didn't pay rent. And at Chavez Auto, he was stuck at the bottom of a pecking order built on seniority and unspoken biases. He was good, maybe the best wrench in the shop, but every time he shone, someone dimmed his light. So, Javier worked in silence, biding his time, unaware that today would rewrite his story. Around 11, the shop's glass door swung open with a jangle of bells, barely audible over the Tejano beat. No one looked up except Javier. From under the Silverado's hood, he spotted a hulking figure, a man in scuffed motorcycle boots, a leather jacket frayed at the cuffs, and tattoos snaking up his neck like desert vines. The words "Hell's Angels" blazed in red and white across his back. He moved with urgency, not swagger, his broad shoulders tense, his face flushed under a graying beard. His eyes scanned the shop, desperate, not dangerous. The biker strode to the counter, a voice hoarse. "My bike's dead out front. I need it fixed now. My son's in the ER at Presbyterian car wreck. I gotta get there." His words trembled, not with anger, but raw need. The receptionist, Marisol, mid-20s with hoop earrings and a glittery manicure, didn't look up from her phone. "Fill out a form and wait." "We're slammed," she said. popping her gum. "I don't have time to wait," the biker pleaded. Marisol rolled her eyes. "Everyone's got an emergency, senor." Behind him, a customer in a polo shirt muttered to his buddy, "Why's this guy even here? Looks like he's about to rob the place." Another, clutching a purse, edged toward the exit. "I don't feel safe with that dude pacing like a caged dog." The biker's shoulders sagged. He rubbed his face, glancing at his stalled Harley outside, then pulled out his phone, muttering about a cab. The room's judgment was a wall, cold, unyielding. Then, a voice cut through. "Hold up." Javier stepped from his bay, wiping his hands on a rag, a can of Jarritos in his other hand. "What's the bike?" "Harley Road King," the biker said, startled. "Won't turn over ignition's shot. Maybe. Mind if I check it out?" Javier didn't wait for permission. He handed the man the soda. "You look like you're running on fumes." "Man." The biker hesitated, then took it. "Thanks. My kid, he's got a broken leg, maybe worse. Hospital's clear across town." Javier nodded, crouching by the Harley, his eyes scanning the wiring. "Might be a quick fix. Give me 15 minutes. From the back," Diego snorted. "Look at Javi, playing hero for some vato loco in a gang vest." Javier ignored him, his hands already in the toolbox. His pulse raced not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. He knew the stares, the whispers, the way people crossed the street when they saw the biker's ink or Javier's brown skin. He'd felt it his whole life. The clerk trailing him in a gas station. The cop asking why he was hanging around his own block. He wasn't helping this guy out of pity. He helped because he got it. As Javier worked, the shop's air grew heavy. The biker hovered nearby, glancing nervously at the door, like he expected to be kicked out. The other mechanics pretended not to see, but their silence screamed louder than words. Then came the boots sharp, deliberate. Toro loomed over them, his shadow swallowing the bike. "What's this?" Toro growled, eyes flicking from the biker to Javier. "Just helping him out," Javier said, standing. "His kid's in the hospital." "Who said you could touch that bike?" Toro's voice was low, like a rattlesnake's warning. "No work order, no job. You know the rules." The biker stepped forward. "I'll pay whatever it costs. I just need to go." Toro turned on him. "This ain't a charity, and we don't serve walk-ins who look like trouble." Javier's fist clenched. Trouble. The word hit like a slap. He's not trouble. He's a dad trying to see his kid. If this was some suit, you'd have 3 guys on it already. "Enough." Toro jabbed a finger at the door. "Back to your bay, Morales." The biker backed off, defeated. "I'll figure it out." Didn't mean to stir things up, but Javier didn't move. He met Toro's glare. "You got us doing oil changes while this guy's kid might be dying. I've worked doubles, taken the crap jobs, and you still treat me like I'm nothing. I help one person, and you're ready to boot me." Toro's lip curled. "Pack your tools. You're done." The shop went quiet. Javier didn't flinch. He held Toro's stare, not with anger, but with a weary resolve. The biker muttered, "Sorry, man." Javier shook his head. "Ain't your fault. They don't see either of us." He clasped the man's hand a quick, firm grip of solidarity. The biker nodded and slipped out, leaving Javier alone in a room full of eyes that refused to meet his. The garage hummed back to life, as if nothing had happened. Javier moved to his bay, hands steady but chest tight. A tech muttered, "All that for some biker thugdom move. Javi." He didn't reply. The truth burned no matter how hard he worked. He'd always be the first to go. 2 years of late nights, of biting his tongue through jokes about his accent or his roots, and it hadn't mattered. Respect was a mirage here. In the back office, Toro's voice carried, smug and loud, probably boasting about handling the situation. Javier kept working, not out of defiance but habit. He saw the biker in his mind, hailing a cab, praying he'd reach his son. That man had walked into a shop full of people and been erased for his ink, his jacket, his desperation. Javier knew that invisibility. He'd felt it in school, when teachers skipped over him, in stores, when cashiers eyed his hoodie, on streets, when headlights lingered too long. Today, it wasn't just about him. It was about someone else caught in the same trap. "Yo, Morales," Marisol called. "Toro said you're out. Move it." Javier nodded, calm, and headed to the locker room. It smelled of stale Gatorade and WD-40. He opened his locker, the hinges groaning, and packed his gear, the wrench set his abuelo gave him, the Torca gauge he'd saved up for. He wasn't angry, not the loud kind. He felt clear, like the desert sky after a storm, losing his job for helping someone that was the first time he'd felt like himself in years. As he zipped his duffel, the door creaked. It was Eddie, a rookie mechanic, all of 19 with a shy stutter. "Hey, Javi, that was wild back there." Javier raised an eyebrow. "Yeah," Eddie fidgeted. "I mean, that guy looked rough, but he was legit scared. Nobody else even blinked. Just saying." "That's the problem," Javier said, snapping his toolbox shut. He brushed past Eddie, boots thudding down the hall. The shop floor was the same oil stains, Tejano tunes, men avoiding his gaze. Toro stood by the counter, clipboard in hand, pretending not to see him. Javier didn't speak. He pushed the door open and stepped into the dry heat. Outside, leaning against a streetlight, was the biker. Javier stopped, surprised. "Thought you'd be at the hospital." The man nodded. "Was my boy stable? Got there just in time, thanks to you." "Why come back?" The biker's eyes were steady. "'Cause I've been where you are. Nobody should lose everything for doing what's right." Javier didn't know what to say, so he didn't. The biker extended a hand. "Name's Gabe. Javier." They shook, a grip that felt like a promise. Gabe gave a half smile. "You ever need work, find me." He turned and melted into the hum of Central Avenue, swallowed by lowriders and food trucks. Javier stood there, the heat pressing against his skin. No job, no plan, but something had shifted. For the first time, he didn't feel like he was just getting by. He'd chosen who he was, and that was enough for now. The next morning, Albuquerque woke to its usual rhythm, semis rumbling down I-40 street vendors, hawking breakfast burritos. The Sandia Mountains glowing pink in the dawn. Javier stood across from Chavez Auto, his duffel heavy with tools. The shop looked unchanged, like his firing was just another Tuesday. He wasn't sure why he'd come, maybe to grab his last things, maybe to close the door for good. But staring at the neon open sign, he felt like an outsider peering into a life that no longer fit. He pushed inside. Marisol was on her phone, gum snapping. The mechanics were at their bays, heads down, no one acknowledging him. He moved to the locker room, the same flickering light buzzing overhead. His remaining tools sat in his locker, organized like always. He packed them slowly, each wrench a memory. Late nights fixing busted transmissions, the time he rebuilt a carburetor from scratch when parts were back-ordered. Voices drifted from the shop floor. Something about new policies and tightening up. Javier knew they weren't talking about the tools. The door swung open. Toro's voice was sharp but cautious. Here to stir more trouble. Morales. Javier stood, slinging his bag over his shoulder. "Just grabbing my stuff." "You could have been somebody here," Toro said, arms crossed. "But you had to play Barrio Saint. You think that stunt earned you respect. I wasn't after respect." Javier said, his voice steady. I was doing what you wouldn't. Toro scoffed. You Gen Z kids think the world owes you a medal for having a heart. Out here, you follow the chain of command or you're out. I followed your rules for 2 years, Javier said, stepping closer. Worked harder than anybody. Took the shade, the nicknames. And you still toss me like trash. Toro opened his mouth, but Javier walked past, done talking. As he crossed the shop floor, a few heads turned, just for a second. Marisol glanced up. Forget something. Nah, Javier said, adjusting his bag. Just needed to see it one last time. The bell jingled as he stepped outside. He walked, no destination in mind, past food trucks slinging green chili, past murals of Aztec warriors and lowrider Chevys. His feet led him to a bench near a Presbyterian hospital, where Gabe had said his son was. Maybe he wanted to know the kid was okay. Maybe he just needed something real to hold on to. He sat, watching nurses in scrubs, families clutching balloons, life moving in and out of the ER doors. His phone pinged a text from Eddie. They gave your bae to Diego, FYI. Javier powered off his phone and leaned back, the sun warming his face. The desert air was sharp, but he didn't feel small. He felt unbound, like the open road, scary but true. By afternoon, Javier had made peace with the end of this chapter. The bench hadn't given him answers, but it had given him calm. He hadn't just left the shop, he'd left a version of himself that had tried too hard to belong in a place that never wanted him. Still, the questions lingered. What now? Where next? Who'd hire a 25-year-old Latino mechanic canned for standing up? Back at his family's cramped apartment in Bareilles, he expected a night of job apps and leftover tamales with his mom. Instead, he found a note taped to the door. His name scrawled in Sharpie. Come back to the shop ASAP. CEO. Javier stared, half expecting a prank, but the handwriting was too clean, too official. His stomach nodded part hope, part dread. He changed into a fresh flannel, grabbed his keys, and headed out. The city's neon signs flickering to life as dusk settled. The shop glowed brighter than usual, the vibe tense. Mechanics clustered near the office hallway, whispering, their usual bravado gone. Before Javier could ask, the conference room doors opened. Javier Morales. Come in, called a voice deep, authoritative. It was Victor Salazar, CEO of Salazar Auto Group, a chain stretching from Santa Fe to Tucson. Javier had seen him once, at a company picnic, a sharp-dressed man in his 60s who spoke like he owned the room. Today, Salazar was in a chambray shirt, sleeves rolled, his face lined with fatigue. Inside the room, Gabe stood, his leather jacket draped over a chair, arms crossed, expression unreadable. Javier froze, but Gabe gave a slight nod. You're good. Salazar motioned for Javier to sit. Rough couple of days, huh? Javier nodded, cautious. Didn't think I'd be back. Salazar leaned forward, hands clasped. Yesterday, a man walked into my shop, and most of my team treated him like a lowlife. They saw his jacket, his tattoos, and wrote him off. He needed help, and they turned away. Worse, they judged him. Gabe spoke, voice low. Except you. He glanced at Javier. You treated me like I mattered. Salazar nodded toward Gabe. This is my brother, Gabriel. He helped me start this company 30 years ago, back when we were just two vatos fixing cars in a dirt lot. He left the business for his own path, but he's family. When I heard how he was treated and how you stepped up, I was livid. Javier's brow furrowed. Wait, you're his brother, by blood and by choice, Salazar said. You didn't just fix a bike, Javier. You gave Gabe the chance to be there when his son woke up from surgery. That's not just a job well done, that's humanity. Javier's throat tightened. He needed help. I didn't think twice, and that's why you're here, Gabe said. I've been invisible before people crossing the street, clutching their wallets. You saw me, you acted. That's rare. Salazar slid a folder across the table. I checked your record. You're in the top 5% of our mechanics chain-wide. 0 complaints. Glowing customer reviews. That's not just skill, that's character. He opened the folder. We're offering you lead technician for this shop. Better pay, full benefits, your own crew, and you'll work with me to make sure this place lives up to our name. Javier stared, the words blurring. Gabe broke the silence. I don't do corporate BS, but I keep my word. You had my back. Javier, now I've got yours. Javier stood, voice soft. I don't know what to say. Salazar offered his hand. Say yes. Javier shook it firm, grounded, like he was claiming his place. Yes. As he left, the mechanics parted. Their eyes different now, not mocking, but curious, maybe even respectful. Outside, Albuquerque's skyline glowed against the desert dark, the city alive with possibility. Javier clutched the folder, his steps light. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was building something. Something his. Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.